When it comes to ZBCN, what I saw recently, I would say that this is nice. Why is that? Even though nothing I say is financial advice, Kraken made a post on X very recently and they said that ZBCN is now live on Kraken, quite essentially. And when I take a look at something like this, why do I think it's pretty cool? It's because, in my point of view, this is kind of like laying the groundwork moving forward for something like ZBCN. Because sometimes when I talk about ZBCN on Kraken, people like to have this response and say, okay, why would you care about that? Well, it's because even though in the short term, it's not necessarily going to do too much, this is kind of like, again, laying the groundwork and the foundation for what could be moving forward. It's like, for instance, let's say I'm running a marathon, right? Of course, before that, I would probably have to practice. But when I'm practicing, does that mean I'm going to run a marathon every single time I practice? Probably not, right? Sometimes training is different than the actual thing. So then, this is kind of like training, this is kind of like the practice. It's kind of setting it up for maybe what could be moving forward. It doesn't mean it's going to do good, but if there was an altcoin season, this stuff kind of helps because, in my perspective, being listed on a lot of exchanges, I think is actually hypothetically better than, let's say, a project advertising through athletes or, let's say, celebrities. Because if, let's say, there was like a celebrity that I knew and then they're like, talking about a project or something like that because they're a brand ambassador or something. And let's say, some might know what it is, but then some others might not care because they might not know what it is, and some others just don't even want to check it out. So then, I think better instead, arguably, for a project, why not just focus on gaining attention elsewhere, like exchange listings or something like that? Because if I am already having an exchange to begin with on my phone, let's say, right? I would be more inclined to even look into the projects on there to begin with because I'm already in this space, right? Or maybe I'm looking into the space, you know what I mean? As opposed to, let's say I don't even know anything about this space at all, and then I see someone talking about like Zebec, I'd probably be like, what is that? So then I do like this. Now, when it comes to what Zebec has planned with UEFA, supposedly, the soccer thing, right, that they're going to be doing, like I still think that's pretty cool. But then I think actually exchange listings might be better advertising indirectly, in a sense, moving forward instead of that. But you know what? This is just my point of view, right? However, the way I take a look at it is this. When I take a look at Zebec, I feel like it's focused on the key areas and the key markets, I should say, that typically does gain attention. Now, let me explain what I mean by this. We've seen, right, at least, even let's say just during this cycle, not an altcoin season. Like, because I don't think we've seen one during this cycle, but let's say XRP, that reached a market cap of around 200 billion. And what is Ripple heavily focused on? Payments and global trade and finance. What is also focused on by Zebec? That. Take a look at Ondo. Ondo is heavily focused on something called RWAs, or should I say real-world assets. Take a look at how well that did, historically, even though it's not doing the best as of right now, but I'm just saying. Again, it's focused on real-world assets, right? And what is Zebec focused on as well? Real-world assets. We take a look at also something like payrolls. Zebec is focused on instant payrolls. Now that's a different case, right? It's nothing that popular, but still, that is a pretty good touch nonetheless to what overall Zebec is focused on. Not to mention AI projects, right? We've seen typically when the market does pretty good, these type of AI projects, in some cases, they go along with the ride. Zebec, it also has an aspect of AI because it is focused on AI-based PayFi. So when I take a look at something like Zebec, it's pretty interesting. Again, it's focused on AI-based payment finance. So it kind of is focused on the right areas, in my opinion. And also, when I take a look at Zebec, I really have this kind of, sort of belief that maybe if it could achieve ISO 20022 compliance, it would be really such a strong competitor when it comes to XDC, because for quite a while, people are not really considering ZBCN as ever being somewhat even on par when it comes to XDC. But right now, because we're seeing the strides ZBCN is making, right? We're seeing, something like Kraken, or should I say the Kraken listing, not to mention working towards ISO 20022 compliance. XDC, I feel like, is within reaching distance. If, let's say, ZBCN, or should I say Zebec, could actually accomplish that, and not to mention, ZBCN market cap is in the hundreds of millions currently. XDC is around $1 billion. You know what I mean? It's kind of heading up there a little bit. Doesn't mean it will ever overtake it, but, it seems to be the sentiment. I like it, heading in the right direction, supposedly. But only time will tell, and personally, though, when I take a look at the idea of 10 cents, it still hasn't left my mind just simply because I do like the fundamentals of Zebec. The market cap at that point would be around 9 billion considering current circulating supply. It is around a 21x from here. It's by no means going to be the best hypothetical outside up there of all time, but, it's still something I wouldn't mind nonetheless, because to me, right, anything over 10x, I would literally not even, find that disappointing at all. Here's the thing. A lot of my friends out there, just the thought of maybe Bitcoin going to 300 grand is already so fantastic for them. But then the thing is, 300 grand is less than a 3x from here. It's a different case if I got into Bitcoin a long time ago, but if I just got into right now, less than a 3x, I don't know how I'd feel about that. And then again, even if ZBCN just did a 10x, right? I don't know if Ethereum could do that maybe in the next 5 months. Sure, Ethereum has done very well and, it's very popular, right? But then going to 10 grand is less than a 3x from here. Could Ethereum reach around, 40 grand during the cycle? I don't know about that, let alone around 80 grand, around a 20x, let's say, which ZBCN would have that hypothetically to reach, or should I say, in order to reach the price of 10 cents. So ultimately, though, I will not be able to know the exact moment in time an altcoin season happens or when it starts because I do not have the capabilities to know the exact moment, right? The only thing I can do literally is just stay patient, hold, and I just wait, and that's it. But I do want to hold projects that I'm a fan of. It doesn't mean it's going to do good, but then I just want to stay, kind of consistent with the projects that I do believe in and just waiting and seeing. I'm just dollar cost averaging, waiting, and, that's pretty much about it. But overall, I do like what I'm seeing when it comes to Zebec. I also like the Solana aspect, by the way. And Solana is a very popular layer 1 blockchain. It's still emerging, though, right? It hasn't become as mainstream yet as some other competitors. Like, for instance, BNB is very popular, Ethereum. But yeah, I do like that nonetheless. Zebec, one of their backers is Solana Ventures, so that's really, I think, a cool thing to see. Also, Circle, the creator of USDC, the stablecoin, that is even supposedly a backer when it comes to Zebec. So overall, I just like what I'm seeing, but I'm staying patient, holding, and just waiting. And yeah, that's pretty much about it, but I don't want to give up. It just makes no sense for me to give up. I don't know why I do that. I'm still staying patient and just staying consistent. And yeah, that's pretty much about it. And hopefully, y'all have a nice day. Thank you so much for watching. It's Millie the Captain, and I'll catch y'all on the next one. I'm out. Peace. Bye.